From the Gospel of St. Matthew, the 7th chapter, 24th through the 28th verses. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. And the rains fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded upon the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Shifting sands. George H. Buttrick, in his exposition on this parable of Jesus, invites us to note this biblical assertion about Jesus. For he taught them as one who had authority, and not as their scribes. And the people were astounded. In other words, the people discerned something different. Unlike the scribes, who drew their garments, their robes about them, lest they be contaminated by touching some sinner who, quote, knoweth not the law, the people knew the words of Jesus were coming from a deep heart. You see, they had witnessed his deep compassion, his care and concern for people. Because, as Matthew 4:22 says, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pain, demoniacs, epileptics, and paralytics, and Jesus healed them. Buttrick suggests that the people saw a paradigm in this concluding parable of Jesus. They saw its truth and its wisdom cut across all of their prejudices, their preset notions and presuppositions and prior experiences. This metaphor of building a house on solid rock or building your house on sand is a truth which applies to every generation regardless of the times. It applies to individuals and to their lives, to nations and its leaders, to governments and their institutions, to a politician and his or her policies. It is a truth which says, what we build must be done upon the authority of the divine architect of truth, justice, and righteousness. If we do, our lives and the corporate life of the nation will be able to withstand all the storms that come our way. Now, we might analyze our individual strengths and weaknesses. We can argue over systems of governments and economies, and politicians may disagree over public policy. But unless our gestalt is built on understanding God's sovereign vertical line, that line between God and humanity, that line of grace, mercy, and blessing, which God alone chooses, what we build will stand. And unless we honor the sacred duty God has placed along that horizontal line, that line being our relationships with each other our care and concern and compassion for each other. That being our respect and celebration of the fact that every human being is created in the image of God. Unless this acknowledgement is seared deep into our innermost selves, into our very being, into our very essence, then we are building our house on shifting sands. We have heard, I'm sure, the saying that you may build great cathedrals, you may build skyscrapers, but only what you do for Christ will last. And remember, Jesus said, when you have done it unto the least of these, you have done it unto me. Leaders who attain elective office would be wise to understand this fact. No leader can be successful if their foundation has been built on the shifting sands of lies, if they are appealing to prejudices and people's worst instincts upon their own greed and immoral conduct, their egotism, false pride, or lack of humility, sowing seeds of discord, division, and demagoguery, shifting blame and refusing to see or admit one's own mistakes and never saying, I'm sorry. Be warned. You have built your house on shifting sands. Be warned. When the rain falls and the floods come and the winds beat against that house, great will be the fall, because your house will be in turmoil, and all of which you have boasted will have turned into failure. Be warned. Showing a careless disregard for the needs of God's people is building your house on shifting sands. What a person soweth, that will they also reap. They brought those in need to Jesus. He healed them. He had his disciples to feed them. He did not turn them away. He did not send them home empty. In a particular poignant scene in the movie The Color Purple, Celie holds a knife to Albert's throat and says to him, until you do right by me, everything you touch is going to fail. After only a few months, our nation is watching the knife of failure, the knife of scandal, the knife of turmoil, pointing at this administration's throat because it has been built on shifting sands. What a contrast between two people. One after descending an escalator, the other after ascending a mountain. One said Mexico is not sending their best people to America. They are sending drugs. They're sending crime. They're sending rapists. I guess there are some good people. I don't know. The other said, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the peacemakers. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Whatsoever ye would that men should do unto you, do so also unto them. This is building on a rock. The Lord's Prayer was taught on that mountain. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It would be wise to remember the caution of Jesus. Not everyone who says unto me, Lord, 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 shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but they who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. And also in the words of that old Negro spiritual, heaven, heaven, everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. We can choose to be wise, or we can choose to be foolish. We must build our house, our nation's house, and the one of which Dr. King spoke, that great world house. We can build it on that sure foundation. And if we do, they will forever stand. God bless you. God keep you. Let's build the house right.